Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 317th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Our first teammate is an old RTW player called Eth28. A lot of RTW veterans remember Eth. I don't think he's played RTW regularly for about 5 to 6 years. So this is one of his first games back after having a kind of a rest from RTW regularly for about 5 to 6 years. He hasn't got any saved armies. He's had to remember his old armies from the past. And I think from what I can see there, he's got 15 infantry, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think he's got 15 infantry and I think it's 5 cavalry there. Let's say Eth was a great player of his day. It'll be interesting to see how well he does now. Let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. I see he's got 7 upgrades, so that's an experience, stripes, gold shield, gold attack. And as I say, Eth hasn't been playing regularly RTW for about 5 to 6 years, so be interesting to see how well he does during the course of this battle. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Kendi. Now, talk about a coincidence. This particular night they both came on together. Now, Kendi hasn't played Rome Total War regularly for about 4 years. I think 3 to 4 years. So this is another old RTW player, Brotherhood member who's come on tonight with Eth. And he has bought the Rome Julio faction. Let's have a look at his units. As you can see, he's got an eagle unit there for a little bit more, give a little bit more morale to his troops. I think what has he got? I think he's got 4 cavalry. So he must have, I think he's got something like 15 or 16 infantry and 4 cavalry. Let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. And I think he's got 6 upgrades. So that's gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. As I say, Kendi hasn't played regularly for years, so with both Eth and Kendi coming back here after all those years of not playing regularly, it'd be interesting to see if they're still the great players that they once were. They're both worried that they're a bit rusty, but we'll just have to wait and see as the battle unfolds. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member at Legion 22, who has also bought the Rome Julio faction. And what's he got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got something like, I think, 9 or 10 infantry units there. Yeah, I think including an eagle unit, I think, if I see there. And he's got 2 archer units. So I think he's got about 11 infantry there and about 2 archer units. Let's have a look at his eagle unit there. Okay, now look at his eagle unit. Big upgrades on there. That's 8 upgrades. That's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack for that eagle unit. So don't forget the eagle units give morale to all close friendly troops. So that'd be an interesting unit to have there, a useful unit to have during the course of the battle. And then a unit of Triarii spearmen. Now these are Rome's anti-cavalry infantry, but veterans watching this will know that you can put really great upgrades on these guys and they're not very good against cavalry. I've seen these guys almost fully upgraded, get hit by cavalry head on and they rout. So they must have a very small anti-cavalry bonus, and you don't often see them on the 31k battlefield. It'd be interesting to see how well they do during the course of this battle. Let's have a look at Legion's cavalry upgrades. 6 upgrades, so it's just gold shield, gold attack on his 6 cavalry. So it'll be interesting to see how well that army does during the course of the battle. And our final teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought that very old army of mine of 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. So there's our team there. I know Eth and Kendi have been playing Rome Total War since it first came out, or they played it for when it first came out, same as myself. And I think Legion's been playing for probably, I think, 6, 7 years now. So we've got quite a bit of experience on our team. And this team that we're playing, we played the best of 3 this particular night, and I'll let you know what the outcome is at the end of the battle. And here is the other team. We have RTW player Cody Ray 611, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. As you can see there, I think he's got 11 infantry. If you look at the upgrade to his forward units, you'll see there's just 6 upgrades, gold shield, gold attack. But if you look at his rear units there, you'll see that his upgrades are 7 upgrades. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on those rear units there. So that's a good place to put them because they can be brought into the battle at any time. And I see he's got 3 of the cheaper archers, just the Roman archers there, short range archers, but he's got 3 of those. So that's what's that? 11 infantry, 3 archers, and he's got 6 cavalry. Let's have a look at the upgrades on that cavalry. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's got 7 upgrades. That's an experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. So that's quite an interesting army there. You could say it's quite well balanced, although with only 11 infantry, will that be enough for the course of the battle? We'll just have to wait and see. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Icarus. And I know Icarus is a newer Brotherhood member, and I think he's a newish player to Rome Total War, but he's proved to be a very good, aggressive player, and we're very pleased to have him in the Brotherhood. If you notice there, I think he's only got 11 infantry there. Interesting pilot shield unit there with those 3 pilot shield units at the front, and he's got 6 cavalry. And I think the upgrades on the cavalry are 7 upgrades. So that's an experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack, and I think he's got 3 archers there as well. So that's a pretty good balanced army there. There you go. It's got the good long range archers there. So 6 cavalry, 3 archers, and as I say, it's about 12 infantry there, so that's quite interesting army. Their third teammate is OTS Prince of Parthia Senator there, and so is he in the OTS clan. He's bought the Macedon faction to, what's he got, 7, 8, 9, 10, he got something like 12 pike units there. It's 12 pike units. See the upgrades on them, just gold shield, gold attack upgrades on those units. And he's got 3 of the short range archers. He hasn't got the Cretan archers there. I think he's got short range archers there, just the ordinary archers, I believe. And he's got the companion cavalry, which as we sometimes called the winged horsemen. So they're quite cavalry. They've got good specifications. Very good cavalry those are. So that's a pretty interesting army there that he's bought. Should be interesting to see. And also, can you see we're all Rome? Our team is all Rome, and we have got to fight down these long pikes to kill the man on the other end. So we're not too keen on taking on pikes head on, so it'll be interesting to see how well we do during the course of the battle against those pikes. And their fourth teammate is Brotherhood member Mars, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. If you notice his pilot shield units there, what's he got? 1, 2, I think he's got 4 units in that pilot shield unit there, including an eagle unit there in that pilot shield formation. And I think he's got 2 archer units there as well. And of course his cavalry will be hiding in the long grass at this stage of the battle, but he usually brings something like 5 or 6 cavalry there as well. So there's the enemy team. Looks pretty good to me. This has got the ingredients to be a great battle, and I hope you enjoy it. At this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a look at Legion 22's pilot shield units here, something a bit different. If you notice there, he's got 2 pilot shield units there. And the first one at the front are Principes. I think that's how you pronounce it there, the Principes units. Now they're quite a cheap unit, but like most cheap units, I mean, as long as it stands its ground, it will soak up pilers the same as any other expensive unit. And I see his secondary pilot shield unit is that Triarii Spearman unit we saw earlier. So it'll be interesting to see if those 2 units will hold against a big attacking force by the enemy. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, you can see Kendi, who was always a very aggressive player, moving towards the Macedon enemy Macedon army in front of him there, probably with a view to pilot as many of those forward Macedon units as he can before he actually gets into combat. Right, just pause the game for a second. Let's say here, Kendi's always been an aggressive player there, and even though he hasn't played regularly, as I said, for about 4 years, you can see he set out his credentials very early in this battle there, very aggressive. As I say, you can see the pilers going into those Macedon units there. As you can see, the Macedon general's got no pilot shield units. He's just got his pikemen in close formation, which means they will suffer a lot of casualties. As we know, those big pike units are very susceptible to any kind of missile damage, so loads and loads of pilots going into those forward units will weaken them considerably. As you can see over here on our left flank and left centre, it looks like the enemy may have had a little glitch there. But if you notice, I moved my army back because, as I say, when enemy army glitches in front of you, it's best to try and move out the way if you can. Nobody wants any cheap kills in this game. Right, if you notice, a Brotherhood member Icarus with his Scipio army is advancing really aggressively onto Legion 22's two Pilot Shield units there. Remember, that's a Triarii unit and that Principe unit there. Right, just pause the game for a second. Right, if you notice there, Icarus is charging his cavalry, and probably with a view maybe to smash into these two Pilot Shield units here, just to clear them out of the way. But maybe if he spots that that's a Triarii unit, he may well hesitate a little bit with his cavalry, thinking that maybe as those are supposedly anti-cavalry troops, he might decide not to carry on with the attack. If you notice, Legion's put his other units into Testudo, just behind those two Pilot Shield units there, maybe anticipating those units might break. Right, if you notice, Icarus stopped that cavalry charge just as it started to penetrate into that Triarii unit. As I say, maybe he might have realised that that was an anti-cavalry unit there and stopped his cavalry going in. Meanwhile, the Scipio player on this end, opposite my army here, looks like he just advanced into my Pilot Shield units there. But if you notice there, I think that Triarii unit and now the Principe unit that Legion had as two Pilot Shield units have both now been routed by Icarus. Obviously, Icarus spotted that those two units were quite weak and decided to attack them and clear them out of the way before he moves on to Legion's main battle lines there. I think that's why Legion's gone into Testudo. As you can see here, Kenji's thrown in lots of pilots to weaken those Macedon pikemen before he actually got into combat there. And then, as you can see there, the Macedon general's moving his units forward in an aggressive way to meet Kenji's aggressive attack there. Over on our right flank here, you can see there's a little bit of skirmishing going on there, and there's a couple of Macedon units been moved over onto that right flank as well to help his ally. As I say, this is a very, very early stage of the battle. Just pause the game for a second. As I say, there's the OTS generals moved a couple of his units over to the right flank. As I said, you can see Kenji's units here attacking the Macedon general. As I say, probably all of Kenji's pilots would have been thrown by now. And if you notice here, can you see the enemy's got all their cavalry, every single one of their cavalry units over on the on our left flank and left centre there. Now, being a good team that we are, do you notice that we've shadowed their cavalry and we've got all our cavalry over here as well. So if the enemy cavalry does decide to strike, we can counter with all our cavalry. It's very important that you shadow the enemy in front of you's cavalry with your cavalry up and down the battle line to make sure that you can counter any attack that they do with their cavalry. Remember this Cody Ray's army, he had only 6 upgrades on his forward units and 7 upgrades on his rear units there. Right, you see this Scipio cavalry, once again Icarus looked like he was going to charge in and then decided to pull back. As I say there, that's Cody Ray keeping his 5 units of 7 upgraded urban cohorts at the rear there. Pushing his units with only the 6 upgrades, gold shield, gold attack forward first. Nice little move that. The same over on our right flank, a little bit of skirmishing going on, but not a lot going on over on that right flank. Let's say wherever Kendi is, you know there's going to be aggression and attack there up against that Macedon general. As I say, Kenji's probably thrown all his pilots now and have weakened those 120 man units considerably before he actually gets into combat. You see our left centre there, you can see that Legion's put a lot of his units into Testudo, which he's just coming out of now, and he's gone back into Testudo again. And over on our left flank where my army is, you can see that Cody Ray is aggressively attacking my army there. So it'll be interesting to see where this battle kicks off. Usually where the cavalry is, it does. And if you notice that, as I said earlier, all the enemy cav and all our cavalry are on this flank and left centre. Left flank and left centre here. So it could all well start off here. Now remember, when you put your troops into Testudo, it goes to show the enemy that you're probably thinking defensively there. And that's why Icarus is attacking. Right, can you see Legion charging his cavalry into these Scipio units there? And bang, as that cavalry hits, routing one of those Scipio units there. My guess is now the Scipio cavalry are going to retaliate, and there you go, you can see 2 lots of Scipio cavalry charging in there, and bang, as that cavalry goes in. Right, if you notice that I'm now charging my cavalry forward, But when you charge your cavalry forward and there's cavalry retreating, it can fragment your attack a little bit there. Right, if you notice that Eth is now also throwing his cavalry in there, so it's a massive cavalry melee going on there. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, SS cavalry, I think Legion's cavalry, my cavalry are all involved in here, and my infantry's in there somewhere as well against all that enemy cavalry. Now this is a nice move here by Cody Ray, moving his cavalry out on an angle. He's not going to come in through the front door. Look, it looks like he's coming at a sideways angle there into the flank of the melee. As we move on at the battle line here, you can see Icarus's cavalry and infantry are charging into some of Legion's and Kendi's units there. Once again, very aggressive there by the enemy. As I say, Kendi's still fighting the Mastodon troops there over on our right centre. There was a lot going on in this battle at the same time, so it is difficult to try and get everything filmed for you to watch, but I've tried to get everything that I can. As you can see over here on the right flank, not a lot going on, but if you notice that Eth has moved some troops over there to support Kendi. If you know, three or four units over there to support Kendi. Remember, in team battles, that's just what it is. You help each other out. You might be a great player yourself, and you might win your particular battle in a team battle, but if you don't help your teammates out, your team could lose because of that. So remember, it's all about teamwork in these battles. Right, that Scipio cavalry looks like he's ready to charge in. As you can see, he pulled the hammer back on the rifle. He has now pulled the trigger, and bang, as that Scipio cavalry hits. If you notice, I'm charging my cavalry back over to try and counter that attack, but because I just pulled back from a cavalry attack, my cavalry was a little bit fragmented. It wasn't in the tight formation that I usually like. So charging back into that Scipio cavalry there, it kind of hit them piecemeal, and a lot of my units have now been routed there. Remember, mine are the purple SBQR units. Eth and Legion have charged their cavalry in as well to try and counter that Scipio attack. But as you can see, a lot of my purple SBQR troops are now routing. This left flank of ours could prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle. Whoever wins here, I think, could go on to roll up the enemy from this flank. And as you can see, things are not looking very good for us, as most of my cavalry, if not all my cavalry, and a lot of my infantry have now been routed on this left flank. Right, if you notice, Legion's general's just been taken out or routed there by the Scipio cavalry. Let's just pause the game for a second. Okay, so here you can see, I just want to show newer players to Rome Total Warlords. Can you see that Mars is charging his cavalry in, and he's asked his ally, his Macedon ally, to raise his pikes? Because if you charge friendly cavalry through friendly pikes and the pikes are down, you will lose big lots of your cavalry. So they've had a good communication here. Mars shouts out to the OTS general, pikes up. He puts his pikes up, and now he can charge his cavalry through those pikes into Kendi's Julii infantry. That's a nice bit of combination move there by the two. So remember, friendly cavalry charging through pikes that are down, friendly pikes that are down, you will lose loads of your cavalry. So that was, as I say, nice bit of communication there between Mars and the OTS general there, and as you can see, the Mastodon pikes are up, ready, clearing the way for that Scipio cavalry to charge through the pikes into Kendi's infantry. And there you go, that Scipio cavalry goes through, and bang, as that cavalry goes through. Notice the Mastodon pikes are all up there, allowing the cavalry to go through freely, and then once the cavalry pull back past the pikes will then go back down. Okay, meanwhile, over on this left flank here, remember, we are the red and the purple SBQR against the blue Scipio here. And as you can see here, there's this left flank is in danger of falling at the moment. You can see the enemy numbers. You see Kendi charging his cavalry through up in the centre there. And over here on our right flank, you can see Eth has sent infantry over. Now, you know, we talked about good teamwork. Being a good team player is essential to winning these team battles. If you notice that Eth has got left enough infantry to hold his end of the battle line there, that right flank, but he's also sent reinforcements right over to the other flank. He sent it over to the left flank there to help us try and hold our left flank there. And that's just great teamwork. As I say, remember, FF hasn't played regularly for maybe 5 to 6 years, but he's still got the teamwork spirit there, still got the teamwork skills there to see where he needs to put his troops to help the team. So as I say, great teamwork there by FF, moving those units all the way over there. But as I say, our left flank is in danger of possibly breaking here with that enemy Scipio attack. As you can see, my cavalry, my SBQR cavalry, is extremely battle depleted. Hardly any of them left at all. so the impact that they will bring when they hit the enemy will be quite minimal. Their charge bonus will be affected by the small amount of cavalry I've got left. But once again, can you see Eth has brought his cavalry over in support, as well as his infantry.
The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us. It is time to press the attack.
They say there's lots going on the battlefield all at the same time here. It's very difficult to get everything in that's happening here. Okay, over here on the right flank, you can see that Mars is using his cavalry extremely effectively here, smashing into Eth's line. I've noticed with infantry and cavalry as well. I notice Mars is helping his Macedon ally out, but if you notice there's a gap forming in our battle line there. Can you see there's a gap forming between our Julio armies there, where the enemy could exploit and maybe push through there? Those Macedon units and some Scipio units could push through there and split our armies. As you can see, Kend is fighting intensely here against Macedon and those blue Scipio troops. But he's holding the line well there. And Legion still got his units there fighting that Scipio cavalry, Icarus's cavalry and infantry there. But as I say, over on this left flank, this could prove pivotal, because I think maybe whoever wins on this left flank could then go on to roll up the other enemy team from left to right. If you notice, Eth's cavalry really attacking that Scipio infantry. But do you remember that Scipio infantry, those 5 units had that experienced strike, gold shield, gold attack, and I think that's really making a difference here on this left flank. Right, let's just move over to the right flank. I just want to show you what Mars has been doing here. Now, Mars is using his cavalry extremely effectively here. He's smashing in to Eth's line, getting the full cavalry charge bonus, not hanging around, pulling back, reforming, pulling the hammer back on the rifle, and then pulling the trigger and charging in again, all over again, getting the full cavalry charge bonus. As I say, not hanging around, pulling back, reforming, charging again. And every time he hits Eth's line, he causes massive casualties. Bang, as that cavalry goes in there. Now, he might not have routed any of Eth's units, or he did rout one of Eth's units there, but he would have caused a lot of massive casualties there amongst the other units. Now, he won't hang about very long, just to turn around his cavalry, pull them back to reform. Meanwhile, over here on the left flank, remember the enemy are the blue Scipii, we are the red and the purple. Now, if you notice, a lot of the enemy blue Scipio units have now been routed. So on our left flank there, we've managed to rout a lot of the Scipio units there. I say, meanwhile, back over on our right flank here, you see Mars has just pulled back his cavalry, reformed again. As I say, pulled that hammer back on the rifle, and then pulled the trigger and going in again, making sure he gets a full cavalry charge bonus once again, and bang, as that cavalry goes in. Yes, his cavalry is battle depleted, but he's still getting that cavalry charge bonus every time he hits. Okay, let's pause the game again. As I say, over on our left flank here, we've managed to take out most of the Scipio troops, just the Scipio general left, and maybe now we can start rolling the enemy up from left to right. Eth is taking out Icarus's archers that have been shooting into us all the time, causing big casualties. As you can see, I'm moving my purple SBQR troops over there to attack those blue Scipio troops that are engaging Kendi's infantry. Right, if you notice that Eth's bringing his cavalry over as well. There's some Scipio cavalry charging in as well there. And bang, as that cavalry hits. Meanwhile, over here on the right flank, you can see that the Macedon general has charged through that gap we looked at earlier, and he's got his cavalry now in behind our engaged troops, and bang, as he charges that Macedon cavalry, companion cavalry into the rear of Eth's Julio troops there. And it's a two-way hit here, because you can see that the Scipio cavalry are charging into the front of Eth's line, and I notice that Mars has just thrown his infantry in a very aggressive manner as well. So Eth is really holding on for dear life over on that right flank, and doing really well to hold as long as he is over there. If he can just hold long enough for us to roll the enemy up here, as I said, from left to right. The problem is that battle over on that left flank cost us so many infantry and so many cavalry, we just haven't kind of got the numbers to be able to roll the enemy up quickly from this flank. But we will be rolling them up slowly.
Please press forward, so the spirit of his army is broken too.
Right, let's just pause the game for a second here, take stock of exactly what's going on. So as you can see, Eth's cavalry and my infantry here, and some of Eth's infantry are trying to roll the enemy up from left to right. But over on our right flank here, you can see the enemy have got in behind F's infantry and are looking to charge in. F's held really well over on that flank, bearing in mind he's been battered and smashed by cavalry attack after cavalry attack. And in the centre here, you can see the Macedon general has done well. He's held well there and is now facing our troops as we're moving over from left to right. If you notice, he's turned his Macedon infantry to face is coming over from left to right. He's no longer facing forward like he was earlier. So we've now got to move over and try and take those Macedon infantry out if we can, before we can move over to help Eth over on that right flank. If you notice, finally a lot of Eth's units are starting to rout. And
the enemy general flees. Press forward.
That's as I say, we're trying to fight our way over to him as fast as we can, but it's quite difficult there. We've routed some of those Macedon units there, but if you notice, a lot of Eth's troops now have started to rout. Well, they've held extremely well over on that right flank. As you saw, they were getting battered like anything from cavalry attack after cavalry attack, and then the infantry got in behind them and cavalry got in behind them. So Eth did really well in holding there. So remember, we are the red and the purple. The enemy are the Macedon and the blue. So just at a glance, you can see exactly what's going on here. We're trying to rout that. See how Eth threw in some cavalry in behind that Macedon unit. They're trying to rout that Macedon unit.
Our allies have lost their leader. This turn of events may make them lose heart.
Okay, and so I can see now what I've got to do with my infantry. Can you see that the Scipii infantry are all facing right here? So what I'm trying to do, I want to get my SPQR infantry in behind them and engage them from the rear. That's what I want to do, but the problem is, look at my battle depleted troops. 3 in that unit, 5 in that unit, 10 in that unit, and 7 in that unit. So I think that even if I get behind that Scipii infantry, because I've got such battle depleted units, I just don't know if they're going to do very well there. But we're trying a hammer and anvil attack with FS red Julii infantry attacking them at the front, and me trying to get my SPQR troops in behind those engaged Scipii troops. Right, I've done what I've wanted to there. I've got in behind the engaged enemy Scipii troops, but like I said, my units are so battle depleted that I'm not sure if they're going to make much of a difference there, really. And I noticed that blue Scipii cavalry that was mercilessly charging into Eth's battle line there time after time is still roaming the battlefield. Yes, that cavalry, those cavalry units are very battle depleted, but they've still got the power to be able to do a lot of damage on the battlefield here. If you notice, my general's just been routed now. If that Scipii cavalry hits my damaged infantry, they're probably going to rout there, and there you go. Okay, so that now is all my SPQR units have now been routed. That's a nice use of cavalry there by Mars. So remember, we are the red, and the enemy are the blue and Macedon.
Because of his foolishness, his men will lose heart.
And remember, Icarus has still got his archers. He's firing loads and loads of fire arrows into our troops all the way through this battle. So of course, you know, fire arrows lower the morale as well as causing casualties. You see several of our Scipii, several of our Julii units are starting to rout. But like I say, that cavalry, that Scipii cavalry, there's not many left in those units there. But at this stage of the battle, when our team's units are so battle damaged, when that cavalry hits, they can still have an effect. See that cavalry going in? They're exhausted themselves, but bang, as that cavalry goes in there. And that's what could make the difference here. If one of those Julii units start to rout, I think it could cause a chain rout, possibly. I see FF's general still alive at the moment, still giving morale bonus, but a lot of those Julii units are now routing. And as you can see, the fire arrows going in, lowering the morale, and that Scipii cavalry charged in, just took out his general.
Loss is hard for us, but harder still for his own people.
Well done to the enemy team there, and I'd just like to show you how intense the fight is. Remember, the main battle kicked off on the left flank there with that massive cavalry and infantry battle there. You can see how many piles of, you can see mostly cavalry dead there. You can see how intense the fighting was from one flank to the other. Just continuous piles of dead here right across from one side of the battlefield to the other. Let's say this was a very difficult battle to film. There was lots going on at the same time all over the place, so I tried to get in as much as I can, but let's say there was a lot happening all at once there. So as you can see there, very intense fighting, to say, from one end of the battlefield to the other. So really well done to the enemy team there. Well played, guys. That Macedon unit, he's got 16 men left, and an archer unit I think he's got left there, and that's all the Macedon generals got left. Remember, that was a 120-man unit, and if you see that Mars still got some of his units left, but they're all battle damaged as well. So my guess is that this will be a close, I'd have thought, looking at the units that are left on the battlefield, quite a close battle, I'd have thought.
This is a dark day, if not quite a catastrophe. The enemy has beaten our
So just to
army.
say, really well done, guys. It was a great battle there. And as I say, Icarus's archers were shooting fire arrows into us all the way through. Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is that, as you say, it says there an average defeat. But I thought, looking at the units on the battlefield, it probably must have been close to a close defeat there. Just like to show you Legion and myself haven't got the kills that we would like to have got, but if you notice, for most of that battle we were defending. Remember, RTW rewards attacking players with good kills. Defending players tend not to get very good kills, so as you can see, Legion and myself have not really got the kills that we want. But here's something unusual. Can you see that Kendi and Eth have got the 2 highest kills in the game? And bearing in mind we were defeated there, this is very unusual to have 2 teammates with the highest kills in the battle there. So really well done to Kendi and really well done to Eth. Really good kills, guys. And those years of not playing didn't seem to make any difference at all there, getting those high kills. Really well played to Mars. Really well done to Prince of Parthia. Well done to Icarus, and well done to Cody Ray, guys. Really well played. As I said at the beginning of the battle, we played the best of 3. And just to say, our team was lucky enough to win 2, and this is the one that we lost. But I thought, I watched all 3 battle replays, and I thought that this was the most intense and the closest out of all 3 battles there. So really well done to everybody in the game. I hope you enjoyed watching this battle. Look forward to seeing you soon, and